Great. So it's a real pleasure to be here with the planning team, or part of the planning team anyway, for the Ignite 2018 conference. We have Nick on our far end here. Luke is right beside me, and on this side we have Tash. Now, I'm just keen to hear a little bit of insight for you, from you guys. In the lead up to this type of stuff, there are a lot of hours that go in and a lot of hard work that goes in. And I guess my main question is, why do you keep coming back every year to do this, time and time again?
Sure. Look, I think it's because the heart's changed. Like, it's a lot of work. We do a lot of late nights, a lot of full days of work, and we solve problems, we find our way, all that sort of stuff. Like, it's a big job, but we see hearts change every single year. Every single year we see thousands of young people who connect with Jesus and who discover a church that is relevant, and a church that's alive, a church that has a meaning for them, and that there's a purpose to their life. And I think for us that's the reason.
Yeah.
We do it again.
You sort of couldn't put a value on that, you might say. You know, it's priceless to have these experiences. And so you're saying you are seeing hearts change and people coming to Christ and learning and growing a lot more. If you were to put maybe even just give us some examples of how you might have seen that happen. Tash, is there anything that comes to mind for you? Any sort of hard and fast examples of young people drawing closer to God?
Yeah, totally. In fact, on my way up here, I was just chatting to a teacher from one of the schools that's brought up a big group, and they've had a really, really tough time, and they've had some highs and some lows. And the teacher said, actually, it's all worth it, because some of the kids, they've been asking about, more information about getting baptized to become a Catholic. And he said one girl in particular just said to him this morning, you know what? I don't think I'm an atheist anymore. And that, that's massive. It might just be a simple statement, but when we hear that, it just makes all of this completely worth it.
Fantastic. So there's a lot that goes into this conference, and one of the things that Ignite does really well is the liturgy. And in fact, Nick here sort of heads up a lot of that organisation around the liturgy. Nick, can you sort of talk us through that, and maybe the effort that you guys go to meet these young people where they're at, but drawing them into just a really authentic experience of the Catholic liturgy?
Yeah, sure. Well, I think I'm really passionate about our church as a Catholic church, is that we have such a breadth and width of tradition and knowledge in this space, and to be able to bring young people into this space can often be quite intimidating. I know when I first attended church as a child, it was something that I didn't always connect with, and so to be able to come to an event like this where it's relevant language, it's relevant iconography, it's relevant themes for my life, that can allow me to go back to my own parish, to my own school, my own circumstance, and to talk to others about what I've experienced, so to bring them into that same experience that across the globe millions and billions of Catholics share. So that experience here at conference, to welcome all of these young people into a church that says, we care for you, we want you to be part of our liturgy, to be part of our church, that's just the most powerful part for me.
So my understanding is that a number of years ago there were a few faithful disciples that decided and had a vision, you could say, to come and start to put something like Ignite Conference together. And over the years we've seen that grown to the point where we're here today with just over 1,500 young people. And I have had word that we're growing again, that you guys, Ignite Conference is going to be heading to Sydney. So apart from being really exciting news, what else is going around that? What are the nerves and the logistics? How does that all look? And what can people at home maybe do to support prayerfully or financially to help us achieve that in a really positive way? Luke, you might have some thoughts on this?
Yeah, sure. Look, one of the things we look at with Sydney is that we know what to do in Brisbane. We've been doing it in Brisbane here for close to 20 years, and so we know what works here. So one of the questions is, how do we bring this experience to Sydney in a way that is true to what the Ignite Conference is, and our charism and our style and our different ways of ministering and worshipping and things like that, as well as meets the needs of Sydney. What's Sydney's culture like? What does Sydney need? What are they looking for in terms of the ways that they're going to connect as a diocese with God, with the church? Yeah.
Phenomenal. Now, Tash, when it comes to heading down to Sydney next year, I know there's going to be a lot going into that. What sort of goes through your mind when you're pondering this journey of taking conference all the way down to Sydney?
There's just a lot. I think a lot of unknown, a lot of, I don't know how we're going to do this, and it seems like a big job. It is a big job, but you know what? God asks big things of us. He doesn't ask for little things. He asks for big things. And I think we just, as a team, really peaceful about it because we're convicted and we feel called to go into that space. So whatever happens, no matter how big the job is or how difficult, we know it's going to happen. We know it's going to be okay because God has called us into that space. So he will make a way. He wants us there. He will make a way. We've just got to be faithful and follow him.
Praise God. And so how did it actually come about? Was there a conversation, or how did you guys sort of be called into to the opportunity to take Ignite to Sydney? Who should I shoot to for this question?
Oh, sure, I can. Look, it's always been on our heart to see what else God had for us for this conference. We knew what Brisbane looked like I said. We knew what sort of capacity we were handling in Brisbane. And it's like, well, God's also continuing to grow this ministry. And what does that mean? Is it Brisbane bigger, or is it other avenues like Sydney? And so it was already on our heart. And then at last year's Ignite conference, some of the contacts from Sydney Archdiocese approached us after the conference and said, look, this is an amazing experience. We would love to see this in Sydney. We would love you to come and run your conference in Sydney. Because I think they saw the fruit of what we're doing and wanted to see that exact same fruit in Sydney. And so it was a conversation. We then... You look at logistics, look at possible venues, look at what does it mean. We got a big volunteer base up in Brisbane. What's that? How does that translate to Sydney, and how do we help transition what we're doing up here down there? So, lots of conversations, but that's the heart of where it started. Yeah.
Cool. Sounds like a great movement of the Spirit. Nick, a bit of a personal question for yourself. As when you were a younger fellow and you'd come along to conference as a young person, was it ever on your mind that maybe one day that you too would serve alongside some of these people? Was it ever on your mind that maybe you were going to be one of the persons that was actually really starting to move and help shape young people and draw them into that encounter with Jesus?
At the time, I don't think I had any idea. I came from small family in the country, and to be able to come to an event like this where my whole faith just exploded and I got to really experience a whole new avenue of my faith, to then on the 5 years, 6 years down the line, to be able to be on the other side of that and to be part of a team that is from such amazing backgrounds to come together to make something that is this big, this powerful. I don't think I could have ever imagined it, but I think I always hoped for it. I saw the people on the stage, I saw the people run behind the scenes, and I thought, I wonder how they do it. I wonder what that person must be feeling, and to be able to serve and give back in that way is it's just so powerful, and it's something that just makes it so worth it, because I think for each of us here on team and the extended volunteer base is we've had our lives changed first. We've come really into a space where we know what it's like to have our own hearts impacted by the Lord, and to then be able to serve in a way that gives it to someone else. There's no better job.
I can really testify to that. I know all of these guys personally, and I think what I really appreciate is that all of you just have such a great faith, such a great love for Jesus, and the fact that it's just exploding out of you, that you cannot contain that and you want to share that. And I think that is probably the largest and the main reason why Ignite has really flourished, and that Kingdom of Heaven is really flourishing here on earth, here in the Archdiocese of Brisbane of Australia, and spreading like wildfire. So thank you guys so much for your yes to Jesus. Thank you so much for your intentional discipleship. I feel blessed to know you, and God bless Ignite Conference. May it continue to bless others.